Welcome to Scene Change, a podcast by the National Federation of the Blind Performing Arts Division. All about equality, opportunity, accessibility, and the arts. Here, you'll learn adaptive techniques from performers in the know. We are changing what it means to be blind, one stage at a time. Thank you for joining us today. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scene Change. I'm your host, Lizzy Muhammad Park, and that was Madie Hendrix singing O mio bambino caro by Puccini. And that's my best Italian accent. I have not taken lessons. Anywho, you may be wondering, why is Madie Hendrix singing opera to start the show? Well, that's because I'm fortunate enough to be hanging out with the twins tonight, aka the Hendrix duo. It's Madie and Ansley Hendrix. That's right, we are celebrating Galentine's Day. So girlies represent. Everybody get your drink of choice, whether it be a hot chocolate, a glass of wine, or something in between. Everybody, welcome to the show. Ansley, Madie.
Yay! Hello. So glad to be here.
I should ask you all questions individually so that the audience can get to know your voices.
Let's do
But before we
Great.
jump into that, I just want to say these ladies act, sing, dance, do opera, pop, write their own music, and so much more between the two of them. But I want to give a special shout out to Madie right now because she's actually our scene change outreach specialist. So thank you for all you do, Madie. You have saved my tail more than once and just made my life so much easier over the past few months.
You are so welcome, Lizzy. So welcome. I love working with you guys. It's so much fun. So
Oh
happy to
my
help.
gosh. And we just love having you. And what a treat that we get to invite your sister Ansley on today.
She is the best. She is absolutely the best, guys.
So,
sweet. So sweet.
so as we jump in, we're going to set the record straight because people assume that twins do everything together and in the exact same way. So,
Yeah.
let's tell our audience how it really is behind the scenes in terms of performing. um how are you two similar and how are you different? We're going to start this one with Ansley.
All right. So I would definitely say that for similarities, I think that we have both always loved to sing, and we as far as singing together, we have our individual styles, but as far as singing together, we have performed a lot in churches, and we actually just started doing outreach with assisted livings and nursing homes, and so I feel like that is kind of the gamut of what we do together and what we sing together. We sing a lot of hymns, a lot of different types of classic songs that everyone knows. But yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head with this one because it's so true that everyone thinks that twins do everything together, but the truth is they don't. And I think that that's the beauty of what makes us, what brings us together is our individualities.
That is so true. And Maddie, do you want to cover any differences?
I love that. Yeah. So I totally agree with Anne, and I want to echo what she said about um, being in different styles. Like we sing in completely different styles. So sometimes it can take people aback, like that we sing duets together and they're like, oh my gosh, how does it blend? But I would say that it actually does blend really well, and we've really worked on that in our performances and our rehearsals. And so I think that being different is showing that we're unique in our own way, and Absolutely. It's neat to see that we're not completely alike. I really I love being her twin, and I love being very similar to her, but at the same time I love being different and I love being me. And so I like to kind of be confident in my own self, but also lean to her when needed. And that's the great thing about having a twin.
Oh my goodness, this is just an amazing segue into what we're going to talk about next. When you say unique and leaning in, but let's hold that thought. Um,
Okay.
I want you all to go a little bit deeper. So, and you do more pop. You are
Yeah.
the songwriter, the dancer. You've got a debut
Yeah.
album that just came out. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so in reality, Always Original has taken me many, many years to conceive. And it was such a great experience. Everything I could have ever dreamed as a singer-songwriter to do, because when back in 2018, when I really felt like songwriting could be a thing for me, I was just thinking like, gosh, if I could put out an album and tell the stories that I want to tell through this music. That's what I want to do,
Right.
and I did, and it was just so great, and it was so much fun, and it also led me to a lot of really interesting places as a singer and as a vocalist and as a songwriter and also as a producer, which I will be the first to tell you, I am not by any means. Production is not my thing, but when I can take a song and make it my own and make it enough to where it has an emotional interpretation, an emotional meaning.
Mm.
That's what music is to me.
That's so true. What story do you feel like you tell with this album?
I really think I tell a story about originality.
Mm.
The album is called Always Original, and I think each song is kind of its own vignette of how you can be unique and original and yourself. And I feel like that is kind of the whole story of the album in general. I feel like the theme I was going for was definitely originality and a kind of tableau, if so to
Yes,
speak.
yes, it totally comes across. It's a great album. I encourage
Oh, thank you.
everyone to give it a listen. Um,
Thank you so
of
much.
course, you're welcome. And Maddie, you went to school for vocal performance. You have your master's. You went to Italy. You're doing opera. My goodness. So, so tell us a bit about your journey and and what that's been like as a solo artist.
Oh, oh yeah, absolutely. So, never did I think 10 years ago in 2015 that I would be doing opera. It seemed so far fetched, far out. But around this time, 10 years ago, I was really into choir in high school, and that's what led to my love of classical singing and classical music. And so that's what inspired me to uh, go to undergrad to study voice. And I had a wonderful experience in undergrad. And by the end of my undergrad, my voice had really grown. But I was starting to think about what I wanted to do for grad school. And my journey to opera came in at the end of my undergrad during the pandemic. The Metropolitan Opera House in New York was, experiencing the pandemic and was showing um, live streams to compensate for no live performances. They were showing live streams of their HD performances, and I figured out how to turn the super titles, which are essentially loose English translations of the opera text, like what's being said, on the screen. I figured out how to turn those on in Braille, and lo and behold, the opera that I was watching that night was Romeo and Juliet, the Gounod, Romeo et Juliet, the French opera, and I had heard a couple arias in French. Like I knew kind of the story, but when I turned those super titles on in Braille and heard the wonderful tenor singing Romeo's aria, it just blew me away, and I was in tears, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, opera is a story being told through music, and I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do this for the rest of my life." But I didn't think that I could, because a lot of barriers. First of all, my blindness being a big barrier. I didn't think I could do it. But shout out to my wonderful friend Christina Jones, who I think was in the last
Yes, she
podcast.
was.
I found her, and she was like, "You can do it. You need to apply for any grad school that you would like to." And that's what led me to my master's. So I did a master's degree at Georgia State and an artist diploma to get my voice really back in shape. And then I went to Italy to study bel canto technique in Italy, and it was truly the most special thing. And now I'm doing the young artist track, and that's my journey to opera. That's my journey. That's how I became the opera singer that I am now. And it was crazy to for a while. It took me a while to say I'm an opera singer. Like, I'm an opera singer, and now I'm just I'm working on my confidence. And you know what? I'm like, I just need to say it.
That's right.
I'm an opera singer. I'm a coloratura soprano, and I want just as much opportunity in this business as every other soprano, which there are thousands of us out there. um, but yeah, this is my life, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. Again, 10 years ago, never thought I would be doing this, but here I am.
Isn't it
I'm so
Isn't
blessed.
it crazy how that goes? I renewed my passport today because it's, every 10 years you got to renew your passport.
Right.
And I was literally just sitting there thinking like, wow, 10 years ago I didn't picture myself where I am today. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Right.
cool. It's
Yes.
cool to have that look back, that moment,
So
you
cool.
know?
Absolutely. So cool. That reflection. Yes. Absolutely.
Exactly. So you all mentioned being unique earlier. And it's so fascinating because I know for many of the guests on the show, we talk about you know, being the only blind performer in your town or the only blind
Yeah.
performer who you knew growing up. So I'm gonna ask a
Yeah.
very general question, and anyone can take this first. What was it
Okay.
like growing up in the house with another blind performer?
Go ahead.
Oh gosh, it was it was super fun. It really was because we, we were, like I said, we were so different, and but at the same time, when we would, like, sing in church and stuff together and like stuff, people would just be like, "Oh my gosh, it was so good," and it just, it was just so much fun. Like it wasn't any like, oh, blind girls singing. It was just always just like, wow, and it was just fun. That's just the best way I can describe it.
Totally. I would add on to that and say there was no competition at all,
No,
because
not
we
at
are
all.
so unique. We are so
Yeah.
unique, and we respect each other. I feel like that's a really big thing,
Yes.
to be
Very
a
much.
performer in the house, and then the blind performer in the house. But it's about respect and having respect for each other. And I remember being really young, and we would I played the piano alongside Anne's when I was young, and I when I started studying voice, I kind of got away from that. But I remember even the piano playing, we would always play duets. I don't think there was ever a time where we both did solos at the piano
No,
until
there
you
wasn't.
until you switched over.
Yeah.
But in that sense, there was no competition. There was no it was always a unified thing, and so yeah, I would. I loved it. It was so neat to be able to have another blind performer in the house to say, "Hey, you want to jam together?" And I remember, we grew up, and didn't we record like cassette tapes of us playing?
We did.
It was
Some of
so
it was just
fun.
like so fun because she would be like, "Wait, no, stop, do it again."
I was the producer. I was the producer,
And
the
like you
director,
can
all
hear
of
us
it.
in the recording, like
We didn't have
trying to
editing
figure it
skills
out.
back then.
But you know what?
It was
It
hilarious.
totally comes across, it comes across that you two really respect each other and support each other. It's
Yes,
so
absolutely.
beautiful.
Oh,
Support is the big
You
word there.
know,
absolutely. No
Absolutely.
exact
competition.
that's
No
No
so
competition.
competition
important. That's so
allowed.
important. And you know what? This is Galentine's and we talk about people, you hear people say, women supporting women. This is what it looks like. You know what I mean? It's
Period. Yes.
That's what sisterhood is.
exactly a true
True.
sisterhood. Um, do
Yes.
you
Yes,
all have other siblings or is it just the two of you?
we do. We do have
What?
a younger. His name
Yes.
is Jack.
He's heading off to college.
Yeah.
Very
Oh
proud.
my
Very.
goodness, that is awesome that you have a younger sibling as well. And
Yes.
we talked about this a little bit before the show started. Did your parents encourage your art and support your art as well? And then I said,
Oh,
I was
absolutely.
gonna say, I
Absolutely.
said I was assuming the answer was yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, our mom and dad very, very supportive and so supportive to this day. I mean, we're so grateful for them, and I feel like that for musicians is so important to have that support and have that, you know, that team behind you. You know, whether it's here for me, it's my voice teacher, my vocal coach, my a language coach, my acting coach, but also my
Right.
family. And so having that family support and that family team around you is so important. So our parents were very supportive,
Oh my
very supportive.
goodness. And
Yes.
when you all perform together on stage, you alluded to this earlier as well. Um, how do you make it work where your voices really mesh when you're doing those hymns and when you're singing together in church and things like that? What's the when you all are rehearsing or performing together, what's that like? How do you make it work?
Gosh, it's funny because even even a couple of years ago, like I still remember having a lot of fear, and a lot of it had to do, well, a lot of it had to do with me. I feel like, I had a lot of fear around my voice, and
We're our own worst
Right.
critic,
oh yeah, and
right?
I found a voice teacher 2 years ago who has completely transformed my voice, and I really feel like a lot of when it comes to blending is to be able to match forgive me but match the tone quality of the singer
Mhm.
or the timbre, and matching resonances. And so
Mhm.
I think for when we do sing those hymns together, even though I am singing in a lower sort of chest voice sound,
Mhm.
I really try and keep the warmth and depth in my tones that I'm matching her high soprano operatic tone, even though not exactly,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
but enough to where it doesn't sound like and
Mhm.
Right, right, right.
to where ah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, totally. And
right.
yeah, I would say as well. I also adapt my sound to her, and I I do vocal exercises throughout my entire range, and explore all the different timbres and colors and registration events that my voice can do. And so I like to really keep my voice very versatile because it helps when I sing the opera arias, and then it helps when I sing with ands and have that um, more laid back kind of speech like maybe sound
Hmm.
that we expect in more commercial singing. So I think the key is listening and rehearsing together. That's the big thing. It's like we
Oh yes, we
sometimes
have
will.
to. Yeah, we have to. Like I remember the final rehearsal before we did our gig at the assisted living. We had to go over a couple of things because
Mhm.
we were like, oh wait, maybe we should do like a more of a dissonant harmony here.
Oh yeah.
Because it just sounded better. Like
Mhm.
not in timbre wise, but
Mhm.
just in blending wise, I
Mhm.
guess, with harmony.
Yeah, and I was going to mention, we mentioned respect earlier. So we have respect for each other's styles, and
Yeah.
we like to ask questions about each other's styles. So if Vance has a question about how do I make this more classically vowel,
Right. Yeah.
and sometimes like when we were singing the Chris Tomlin Amazing Grace, My Chains Are Gone,
Mm.
we I asked Anne, what would be a vowel what would be a vowel that would work for this pitch that I could
Right.
think about that would
Mhm.
so we respect each other and we ask each other questions about one another's style so that we can perform authentically
That is
together.
so cool. I love it. I absolutely love
Yeah.
it. And this is
Yeah.
something that you both have experience in, but Anne's just mentioned finding a voice coach. But I know that you have
Yes.
both had to find voice coaches at one point or
Yes.
another.
Yes.
And so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
curious to know what are some qualities of a good voice coach? How does someone know, you know, okay, maybe we're not meshing right away, but give it more time versus okay, this is
Mhm.
a red flag, versus this
Mhm.
person's a keeper.
Yeah.
How does someone find a
Yeah.
quality voice coach?
That's a great question.
It's a great question.
I would say the big thing is one big thing that I can think of off the top of my head is communication. And I say to my students, I'm a voice teacher myself, so I often say the big thing for me is that I like for lessons to be a collaborative experience. So where I'm not just lecturing at the student for 30 minutes. And I love that from my teachers as well. And but I like to ask questions. Have it be a very like informational session on both sides of the teacher studstudent relationship. And I would say the relationship between a teacher and student is really important, and that having that respect for what you want to do, and what works for you and your voice, and um, just having a teacher that really is updated as well in uh, practices of current practices, current voice
Hmm.
practices today. That's really important, because sometimes there is some misinformation and outdated stuff out there, and so you really want to do your research and ask questions. And yeah,
Do
that's
you
what comes to
do
mind
you
off the top
only
of my
teach
head.
opera,
Yeah.
Maddie, or do you teach like all sorts of like all different styles?
Oh, I teach. I do specialize in
Hmm.
opera. I will say that. However, I love to teach people how uh, different styles can be applied to the classical technique.
That is
So
cool.
yeah,
And over to you,
yeah.
Ansley.
Yeah, I would definitely say you want someone who is going to be kind but
Hmm.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
You want someone who is not going to tell you that you're doing a great job all the time, but is also going to let you know what to work on,
Mm-hmm.
and also what you're doing well. And I think that that was kind of a big thing for me because
Mm-hmm.
I have, like I said, I've always kind of been insecure about my voice before I found Darlene,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was just a very big shift. It was a very psychological shift, if
Mm-hmm.
you will, because I think so much of the time singing is 98%
Right.
psychological,
Totally.
and the way that we sing is the way that we perceive the world.
Mm.
Wow.
Yes,
That's a quote. That's a
I
quote
love
right
that.
there. You
Oh,
gotta
let's yeah, put that at the top of the show
exactly,
notes.
exactly. Um, you both mentioned at one point or another leaning on each other, getting advice from the other, respecting each other's opinion. Um, the question that I have is, do you ever brainstorm or give each other advice specifically on alternative or blindness related performance techniques?
Ooh, that is a
Ooh,
great question.
that's a great question.
I can stall while
I
you're
feel
thinking
like
if you want. You got something?
well,
Wow.
I was gonna say, so Anne's actually started
Mm,
out in theater, and so we when I got into opera, I didn't really have a lot of acting training at all. So I would ask her some things, but she also had struggled with theater as well, and getting really solid acting skills. Would you say that, Anne? Sorry, I didn't mean
Well,
to.
no, I would say I really struggled with getting noticed,
Mm-hmm.
getting roles
Mm-hmm.
because the
hmm.
blindness thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
So we related on that end as actors, singing actors, and then a spoken actor in plays. Relating to not being cast, the barrier to being cast as a blind
Hmm.
performer. And then as far as acting techniques, yeah, I think I've definitely asked Anne some questions about monologues, and I'm a Shakespeare fan, so we talk about characters and character development all the time, and how would you sing? How would you perform this? And so yeah, we
Shakespeare
definitely
and opera go
yes,
together. It's
totally.
crazy.
I was gonna
So.
say yeah. Yeah, so we definitely brainstorm together and help each other, and again, I think we can relate to each other with the performing aspect of it, specifically with the
That's
acting.
so cool. Ansley, anything to add, or do you agree?
um, yeah, yeah.
Gosh, absolutely. I mean,
like she said, it was really hard. Not for me in the aspect of technique, but more of just getting cast.
Yeah.
Because again, I think the assumption is, oh, because you can't see, you can't move around on stage. And I've had a ton of moving experience, and I've had a ton of training, and I've had people tell me that I'm doing really well. But the problem is when how do you present yourself when you're in the room and they're asking you how do you do this? And so that was actually very hard for me until I went to college and studied acting and met my amazing professor who to this day is my acting teacher, and that was a very big shift for me because advocacy was the problem.
Wow, it's so true. I mean,
Yeah.
this is something that we hear on the show all the time is about advocacy. It's about confidence because sometimes even when you're confident in yourself, others try to, tell you who you are. And
Oh,
it's so
absolutely.
important.
That was our experience
Yeah,
too.
it's so important, to go into the audition remembering and who you are and reminding yourself like you can do this. You are just as qualified as the next person. So, oh my goodness, I would love to see you two on Broadway somewhere. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be so fun? Um,
Yes.
but you know what? So I'm gonna go to my next question here. You both just exhibit so much passion for your respective performing arts. What inspires or motivates each of you, to get up and keep doing it every day and gives you that same zeal and zest? And
I would definitely say just the undying love that I have for musical theater and ballet and pop music. I just, again, there's just, I think there's a thing that
Mhm.
is basically, if you love it, if you can't see yourself doing anything else in the world, then that's what you should do. Like, if it is something that inspires you so much to where thinking about anything else is like, I don't know, anxiety inducing.
Same.
It's like, yeah, it makes me so happy that, like, thinking about, even imagining doing another career would be like, gosh, what? Like, I can't. It's like a void between me and yeah. It's just love, I think.
I absolutely relate. I think the undying love, the undying passion for this is what keeps me going and inspires me every single day. Also, I would say the oh gosh, sorry, lost my thought. Oh no. I would say I'm so passionate about this. Like I literally, as Anne said, I can't see myself doing anything else with my life, and I it's crazy. In this career, there's so many rejections, and the rejections have made me, question it sometimes and question like, what am I doing? But I can't let those take hold of me and let those stop me from doing it because I love this too much and I can't see myself doing anything else. And so yeah, I think it's just the undying love, the undying um, need and desire for this, and just passion for this. It just brings me so much joy, and I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. So yeah, I know I echoed pretty much what Anne said, but it's so true.
Well, if I can add something too,
Yeah.
I think that there's a correlation between performing and sharing your soul with the world, and I think that is what. I mean, I know it might sound kind of cheesy, but I really think that is the most important thing about what makes me happy about this is when I am performing. I can share my soul in the most easiest way and expressive way possible, and I have a connection between the audience and myself, and it just feels so visceral.
It does, yes, and I think
getting that love and feedback from the audience. We just recently did a performance that was very moving for us to do, and getting that love from the audience right back to us was really inspiring. And so I think when other people recognize and see that we love it as well, it really makes us boost our confidence for sure. And yeah, I would say that to add on to that as well.
So funny that you all mentioned Christina Jones earlier because she was on in January discussing breaking into a new performing art. And Ansley, I hear, has recently broken into ballet. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. I guess I wouldn't say broken into because I have I've been training for quite a while, but unfortunately, long story short, I never had sort of the inclusivity with musical theater in order to dance and feel comfortable with it. And so long story short, when I had my first dance call for a musical, which was 5 years ago, I contacted my support system, my theater teacher from college, because she was my biggest supporter as an actor, and so thought, oh my gosh, I need help, all saying all this stuff like I need help. I've got this dance call, so she helped me. Sort of got me off the ground running with some video courses from professional musical theater companies. And and then long story short, again, fast forward 4 years later to March of last year, when I joined Darkroom Ballet, and I've been studying
Yes.
with them for almost a year now.
Oh, amazing.
And yeah, and that's how it happened.
And we love Krishma. She's amazing. We've had her
Yes,
here on the
I saw
show.
her episode. She was so good.
Yes.
That one out.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
Highly, highly, highly recommend
oh
her.
my gosh. Yeah, for real. You know what? I literally, like, we were talking earlier about, like, could you have seen yourself 10 years? No. No. I could never, what I'm doing now, I could have never seen myself 10 years ago being able to say confidently that I can do this.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think I don't know. I think there might be a theme here going, because I think again there's the assumption and not asking questions, and I think when people realize that it is possible, then they're like, oh, okay. So that's what we have to do as blind performers. Is we have to show them that we can.
Make
You
the
know what? And
impossible
that's a
possible.
great segue. Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh, another good quote. Say it again, Maddie.
Make the impossible possible.
Exactly. And that's a great
Mhm.
segue into our next topic. You're talking about showing
Mhm.
people. And it used to be the case that it's not what you know, it's who you
Mm.
know.
Ooh,
And I've been reading recently that it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Ah.
And
So
and this is leading into the importance of social media and promotion
yes.
in performing arts, but not just in the performing arts space, but honestly in every area of the professional
Mhm.
world. So I know, Maddie, this is your forte, and I mean, Ansley, you have some expertise here too. I mean, you guys both have an extensive following on YouTube and on your social media channels.
Mhm.
What are some of your top tips, your keys to promoting yourselves as performers?
I think I'll let Maddie take this one, because I am still getting used to this as a performer. Honestly, like I am, like
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. I am like not good at talking about myself. Like I don't.
Oh
Yeah,
no, me neither.
it's so scary.
It's strange.
Yeah, and so I'm always making sure that I'm saying the right thing,
Mhm.
because the right thing is not the right thing for everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, going back to what inspires us, I feel like I mentioned we both mentioned just being really passionate about what we do. So whenever I promote myself on social media, It can be very passionate. And as far as like a recital, like if I'm doing a recital, I'm so passionate about the topic. I'm so passionate about the music. I want to share it with my followers. And one of the big things that I aim to do with opera and with classical singing in particular is put it out into the general public to where people in the general public don't feel intimidated by it, and feel like they can come to it with open arms and not preconceived notions or anything. So I feel like I'm really passionate. I like to kind of dumb it down. I like to really share my heart and really share the stories that I want to tell through my music in my social media posts. And so I feel like passion is a really big part of promotion. And also just reaching out to people that you don't think might respond, and just saying, hey, can you help me with this, can you proofread this, see what you think, reaching out to a company or reaching out to an assisted living place, like we're doing concerts, outreach concerts these days, and I'm really passionate about what I do, so I feel like that's one of the keys to promotion, as well as just getting out there and reaching out to people for the help that you need and for the guidance and support that you need. So yeah, hope that answered the question. Sorry.
That makes perfect sense, because it's not like when you do it, it's not about self-promotion, it's more about sharing
Absolutely.
your
Absolutely.
passion, and when you think of it that way,
I
that kind of does make it
know. It's all
easier.
about how you think about
It feels so strange doing self promotions and writing a bio, and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Next
it's
question. Tell me about yourself. Like, what?
you're just sharing you and what you want people to know about you and what you hope that people will grab on, because this is a business where you're at least right now, I'm doing a lot of my gig setup and my student finding, and you have to stand out, but in a good way, of course.
Right.
So it's finding that right balance between passion and humility to promote yourself in the best way.
I mean, listen, all of life is a balance,
Yeah,
so
Right.
absolutely.
it's so important to find that. Well, listen, we're gonna wrap up this show, but I can't discuss social media without you all sharing your social media with our listeners.
Go ahead,
Yes. Okay.
Ace is the star. So
Oh gosh. Okay. I am primarily on YouTube. And it's just Ansley Hendrix. That's ANSLEYHENDRIX. I also am on Facebook at Ansley Hendrix, actress, dancer, singer. And then maybe I'll share my Insta just because. I mean, yeah, it's and the actress, singer, dancer. So kind of different handles,
Love
which
it.
I'm trying not to do. Like I'm trying to keep it, but sometimes because Insta has this whole thing where you have to put in a specific number of characters.
Oh, totally.
Since we're on a blind podcast, let's talk about that.
Right.
Having
For
to-
another episode.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Oh man.
So,
And you,
very
Madie?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
conversations.
So I'm on Facebook. I've got actually 2 pages that I'm running these days. Madie Hendrix Soprano is my professional page. My name is spelled MADIEHENDRIX, and then comma soprano. Madie Hendrix Soprano. And then I also have a page called Classical Singing Made Simple, and that is at Voice and Opera Ed on YouTube and Facebook. And it's really my teaching page where I'm educating folks on opera and classical singing and some vocal technique stuff that's helping me. And yeah, I really enjoy it. So those are my socials. And I'm also on Instagram at Madie Hendrix Soprano.
That is amazing. Well, thank you too for
Oh,
joining
thank
us
You're
today.
so
you.
welcome. So great to
It
be
is
on.
a blast.
Yes.
It has been so much fun. Thank you to Drew, our producer, to Caitlin McIntyre. She's always another one who's always steering me and giving me advice and tips and show notes behind the scenes. As I know, she's the best. Thank you to each and every listener. And stay tuned for a little Galentine's treat that Drew just might throw in right after we hear an Ansley Hendrix original, Further and Further Away from her debut album. Here it is, and stay tuned for that special Galentine's Day treat. Thank you. This has been another episode of Scene Change, everyone.
Do they see me? Do they know I'm there? When the lights come on, will they really care? Why is it so hard to see this glowing light?
I'm Caitlin McIntyre, president of the National Federation of the Blind Performing Arts Division. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Scene Change. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and visit our website at nfb-pad.org. There you'll find links to our social media, membership, and resources for blind performers. Thanks to everyone who makes this show happen. Scene Change is produced by Shane Lowe, Joe Schuneman, Precious Perez, Chris Nussbaum, Seyun Choi, and Aaron Jordan, with music by Ryan Strunk and Tom Page. Remember, you can be the performer you want. Blindness is not what holds you back. We'll see you next time.
Please tell me you are familiar with the Powerpuff Girls, because if not, then I'm really.
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right.
Oh, yes, love the
Yeah,
Powerpuff
they're
Girls.
fantastic. That's great. I just feel extremely awkward if I was the only one in the room who knew who the Powerpuff Girls were.
Okay, if you girls were a Powerpuff Girl, who'd you be? I'm Blossom.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm not as familiar with them as I should be.
That was very
but
Blossom of
same.
you to pick Blossom immediately, and that was good.
Right?
But Blossom sounds like me, so I guess I'll pick Blossom. Yeah, same.
You're Blossom too. We're all
Everyone's
Blossom.
Blossom.
All right. Done deal.